That was a nice burp. So, I've been awake for what seems like 48 straight hours. You can tell it in my voice. Yes, you can. Yeah, so I might need to brush my teeth. Oh, but in the meantime, so I've been up for I think I've only slept like a few hours in the last couple days due to work. And I needed like a break. All right. Yeah, we're back. We're back. And we're World of Warcraft. Well, we're not really in World of Warcraft because we're just waiting for Project Epoch. But what was interesting is they threw us a curveball, guys. Guys and gals and people from every walks of life. So just on my Discord, someone had mentioned right here. Where was it? Lolly said, which realm are we playing on? And then False is like, there's two, and I'm like, ah, shit. So I looked on the Discord, of course, due to, here, we'll look at the official announcement, but you guys probably already know this, but let's see announcements. It's right here. Project Epoch has grown larger than we could have ever expected. And this was from 9:31 p.m., so this was just a couple hours ago. As of a few moments ago, we've ordered yet another large server. This doubles our processing capabilities to 24 cores. So they are going to have two realms, which is interesting. What's up, Eric? How's it going, man? I don't know, dude. They really threw us a curveball, man. Like, typically, I love PvP servers. I love PvP. I mean, it's always hard for me when it comes to PvP, PvE servers, because they've changed them. They're not the same, What I mean by that is let me change the music. Actually, let's go for something a little bit different. All right. All right, here we go. So I was always kind of the mindset that the no cross faction or that the cross faction was kind of odd. You know what I mean? Oh, so he did. They did finally post. I was curious about the name reservations. 30 to 40,000 people. Yeah, that would have been. I mean, it was a good decision to make another server because it would have been stupid to come up on Saturday with 40,000 people trying to play. I mean, you know, that's insane. I mean, that's way more than I thought. Like I thought they'd have like 10,000, 10 to 20,000 or something. But I didn't think that many people would show up at the same time, like trying to get in. I just because in the stress test we didn't have that many people. Like when I was in the stress test, it's like, oh, there's 2,000 people. Although most people don't show up for stress tests. But yeah, 30 to 40,000. That's just insane, man. And but the thing that I always thought was strange was that they were going to go with cross faction, like basically, like I mean, to the point of you could group with Horde, you could like talk to Horde, like if you were talking in like general channel, like Horde and Alliance could read each other's chat, which I'm not really a fan of. I'm not really a fan of that. As I just woke, I mean, I literally have been working. Like I've only had a couple hours sleep, the last couple days because I've got this project we've been working on for 2 years. We've been rerunning our major application at my work for the past 2 years, and the code cut off, the code complete is literally this Friday. So what is that like? what, is, what is it right now? Right now we're on Wednesday. Well, for another 2 minutes. So code cutoff is on Friday. So like I was looking forward to Project Epoch just because it was like it's like the timing was like really funny. It's like I'm getting to the point of the end of a 2 year code project, right? And right at the cutoff, the very next day, Project Epoch goes live, which is funny because I know I'm going to be just freaking dead to the world. I was up till 5 a.m. this morning writing code. I mean, and I'm going to be up again tonight, right? Because I'm still not done with something I'm working on. I mean, I'm close to done. But, you know, my wife's so funny because she knows, like, my wife knows I'm like I haven't slept in our bed in the last couple of days because I've just been in the office like the entire time. Here, I'm in the office working. So here, let me show you an image I took of me earlier. This was me in my office earlier, like right. This was me in the office like earlier, right? So I'm just working. Like this is me working. Like I have a monitor here where I'm just watching something stupid. I was watching The Accountant or something, but I'm not really watching it because I'm working. But I just needed something in the background. You know what I mean? So I've got these are my gaming monitors on the left. So I've got a monitor here, but I just have it turned off because these monitors put out so much bloody heat. The office gets hot, man. So I got a 32-inch monitor here and a 32-inch monitor here, and then here's my work laptop and my other screen for work. So this is me working here, right? And I got coffee in one cup. I had Coca-Cola. No, I had coffee, Coke, and I think that was a water. I remember I was like trying to stay awake. I was working until 5 a.m. this morning. And I remember I had like a soda, a coffee, and like some other caffeine. I had like 3 different caffeinated drinks. And it didn't matter. And when I reached for a drink, I was so tired I didn't even care which one I grabbed, whether it was coffee or whether it was Coke or whether it was like root beer, or whatever the fuck it was. I didn't even care. Just give me some caffeine. They all tasted good, so I didn't care which one I grabbed. So yeah, they definitely threw us a curveball, right? And I was watching, I know Muzzy's live right now, and I liked Muzzy's videos on. He did a decent job of doing videos, but I don't like he's just slamming YouTube left and right. And see, a lot of people are streaming on YouTube, and they don't really want to because maybe they're not used to streaming on YouTube, or they're just so used to streaming on Twitch. And of course, if they're a bigger streamer, they're going to have more people on Twitch. But the problem is it's a private server. You can't really stream private servers on Twitch. I mean, you can if you want, but you risk getting a ban or getting a strike against you or whatever. I don't know how it works on Twitch. Firstly, myself, I can't stand fucking Twitch, man. Fucking hate Twitch. um, I mean, there's some advantages to Twitch, but I just hate the clutter of the interface. I hate the clutter of Twitch, but I mean, if I would have been streaming on Twitch for the last, 6, 7 years, I'm sure I'd actually have people that come and watch me play. But as it is, I'm pretty small streamer. Not too many people know who I am. But anyways, very interesting. You said the general chat's been popping off, which yeah, for sure. You said main good thing would be the price of the age would be cheaper with cross faction. I do think that they would be, and just the fact that the cross faction. But I think I don't like the cross faction. I like the feeling of Horde versus Alliance to a certain degree. I like the fact that if the Horde are communicating in general chat, we can't see what they're saying, and they can't see what we're saying. If I'm orchestrating an attack versus a Horde city, why would I want the Horde to be able to see everything? You kind of want. I mean, of course, you can bypass that by doing like private chat and guild chat and stuff, and they were even going to be doing like weird shit where you could like trade with Horde players, and I'm not really a fan of that. And I guess it's just because I'm an old school WoW player from 2004, so I wasn't really too excited about cross faction. So with that in mind, when I look at the two servers here, I'm kind of leaning towards PvP, right? The PvP server. Now, when they say PvP though, they don't really. Does that mean that there's no war mode? That's the thing. Is war mode just gone now? Because before it was like they had this, that's the thing that I don't understand. And I'm sure somebody's going to explain it. Maybe maybe I just woke up from like an hour nap. Because like I said, I haven't had much sleep in the last couple of days. And so I haven't really seen, I don't, if I go into the server, there's probably going to be so many people, it's going to be impossible to get a response. They changed, yeah, their channels are all changed. I know that Magic was saying they were going to move some of the channels around, and because there used to be a channel that said, I think Epoch, right? And it's not there anymore. I guess they changed it to general. Yeah. Slim Bud is big time enabled. So, so my question is the PvE server, is war mode gone? Is war mode gone, or is it just on the PvE server? How will war mode work now across both realms? So that's my biggest question: is how is the war mode going to work? Because now you're saying that you specifically have a PvP server. Usually when someone says you have a specific PvP server, that means you're PvP all the time. You know what I mean? So it sounds like the PvP server is going to be exactly the same. Okay. But there's always been a divide between PvP and PvE, right? There's a lot of people that because traditionally when private servers, in the history of private servers for a while, they've traditionally mostly been PvP servers just because there usually isn't enough people on a specific private server to warrant more than one server. And they just know the people that run the private servers typically know that if they run a PvP private server, it's typically, you get more people. I mean, you can just look at like WoW retail servers or WoW, classic servers. The PvP servers are always going to have higher populations than the PvE servers most of the time, especially on private servers. So, but now, they've got, it's. Yeah. So, well, they said that before they were going to have two servers, they were just going to have one server. They definitely said that you could get XP for World PvP. That was the thing before they came up with this second server, right? I'm just kind of reading. So some people are saying 32 to 35,000 K on launch. We don't need a PvP server. We can do a mega server of 20,000 Q. Bring back the Elysium experience. Elysium never had a 20,000 Q. I mean, it had. Yeah, I mean, I was on Elysium servers when they were 12 or 13,000 people in the game, like in the server at once, and the queue was probably, maybe there was 5,000 in queue or something, but there was never 20,000 in queue. I've never been on a private server that had the most people I've ever been in a WoW private server on at the same time was 14,000 on Light. So there was a time when there were literally 14,000 people in the server, and the server ran pretty damn good. It was pretty amazing, actually. But this is kind of, I think, unprecedented, and I know I was talking to Metrics, kind of, he mentioned it too, that he thinks it's going to be one of the biggest. And second server, man. So yeah, it should be interesting. The real question is, do we have enough GMs to monitor 2 servers? That's a good question, actually. It's a valid question. The other question really is, we all went into the servers to reserve names, right? But now, those names, I believe, are reserved on Kazan. Now, when they're going to have to open up the second server for name reservations. So, and I don't think I've seen yet when the second server is going to come up, Man, my office is so bloody hot right now. Is my computer hot? My computer's not really running that hot. It's just these bloody monitors. I couldn't figure out why my office was so hot in my last place, and then I finally figured it out. It's these monitors, man. And these two 32-inch monitors, they put out an insane amount of heat. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting because everybody's getting, I didn't get some of the names that I wanted. I mean, of course, I knew I probably wouldn't. It's very difficult to get names, because it takes, once you log into the server, when they open it up, there's so many people in there that once you type in one name, I mean, it literally took 10 seconds before it resolved and said you either got it or you didn't. Well, by the time you typed it in and that 10 seconds was gone, thousands of names were already taken. And plus there was the bug where it was saying certain names were taken and they weren't. Valst in my Discord server, he said that the server said his name wasn't available. And it actually turned out that it was. It was some sort of a glitch. So... And because he was really surprised because his name was such an it was not a common name, and no one ever has his name. So he was like, "What? It's like, how's my name not available?" Yeah, you can see right now we still just have the one server. Where is... So I had been talking about going... I know I had Muzzy's stream up somewhere. I think I just closed... Oh, here's Muzzy. So Muzzy was making fun of YouTube. I don't really like when people make fun of YouTube because I think the YouTube interface for streaming is fine. It isn't great for interaction with people. And that's what he was kind of complaining about. It isn't doesn't have all the stupid emojis and shit. But I mean, I don't know what you guys been. Whenever I go to Twitch and there's people popping off all their shit in the Twitch stream, I fucking can't stand that shit. There's emojis left and right, and it's like, I don't want to see a bunch of fucking images. That's just me. I'm old school. All right, let's troll the well, not troll. Let's just see what's going on. It used to be Epoch, now it's called. I'm glad that they changed it to General because I thought Epoch was kind of a silly channel name. I mean, we all know it's Project Epoch. You don't need to call the name that. The people with that dream will not roll Garibachi. They will roll Kazan with War Mode, just like they would have 2 months ago when the Discord was 1/3 this size. Nothing about Kazan War Mode has changed, except we will get to log in and play twice as fast. That's actually probably true. The people gliding Lighting in last week's spewing for the new PvP server will be in containment. That's also a good comment. It's a win for everyone except staff who have to work their ass off. Create the server you want to play on. War mode. Kazan. I would say that... First off, I don't roll around on Epoch's Discord enough to know that there were people like spewing, that people were spewing for a new PvP server. I do know that the PvP is such a divisive thing. It's such a, you know, it can be good, but it can be so bad. There's so many toxic players that gravitate towards PvP servers. Look at this, holy shit, PvP. See, the thing is, I like no cross faction. No, that's what appeals to me about the PvP server is the no cross faction. What doesn't appeal to me about the PvP server is that it could be a lot more crowded, and it could be more toxic. I don't think Reptilian's going to be a I don't know. I don't know which server to go to, man. Yeah, I did listen to that. I listened to that a while back. I listened to the entire thing, and he did expect it never to be this big. So that's. I don't remember him saying that it made more sense for cross faction, like in that question and answer. You know, I did listen to the whole video, but I was listening to it while I was coding, so there's probably parts of it I missed. Yeah, I think I do remember that, where they said that they wanted. Actually, I don't remember from the video, but I remember from the website. Like, if you go to the website, it actually says that. If you go to the Epoch website. Somewhere on here. Their website isn't the best it isn't organized the best as it could be, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It's got to be under factions. No, see, these aren't even, these are just the in-game NPC factions. Yeah, I remember that. He said but when he said that, the one thing that struck me was like, does that mean he doesn't really want to deal with, that he doesn't want to deal with the crowd? Because let's face it, the more people that play this, the more work it is for them. I mean, the more work it is for them. But also, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people that are going to volunteer to help out. You know what I mean? They shouldn't have any issues getting more volunteers. I know if we go to the development modding community, which, you know, K-Totes is actually a moderator on here. You know. So they have plenty of ways to get more people to help out. You know, they can post here. If you look for, let's see, recruitment here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them posting more stuff. I mean, here's the project about recruiting dedicated core developer. This was from last year, actually. I mean, I would help them out. You know, I've been writing code since I was 15 years old back in 1985, but I've never really done any game development with Trinity Core. But I would like to, and I actually was going through. I wanted to go through a video, but I'm just so busy with work. But I was going to go through just you know, Digital's video here on just how to set up, you know, how to set up a Wrath of the Lich King client with Trinity cores to see how it works. And I wanted to go through. I've already got a list of most of the tools that these guys are using for development. In fact, Ktotes actually had an article. Let's see. I don't know where I put it. Where did I put it? I have way too many things open. Let's see. Oh. God, I need to get organized, man. I'm a little disorganized since the move. Where did I put that? Oh, you know what? Huh. Huh. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I thought I had it. Basically, there was a post though where Ktotes actually mentioned all of the development tools that they use for development for Project Epoch, and I had actually kind of wanted to go through and learn how to use some of those tools just out of my own edification. But anyways, back to Epoch, back to the discussion. Let's take a look at the general. Your server will be dead in a month. Look at this, bro. You will never stop the hype of the Garabushi gang. We have the most fun in STV on Garabashi. Your server will be dead in a month. Devs fully realize it, fellas. Cancel the PvE server and make one PvP server. It's funny people just arguing back and forth on the merits of having one server or two. Look, I dream of getting one-shotted and ganked by 60 rogues in STV on PvP servers. I like how no one reads and everyone keeps asking, why split the player base? Yeah, this is a good point here. Why are we wishing for each other servers to die? I hope both servers thrive. PvE equals Care Bear. This is just so wrong. It's actually completely wrong. Yeah, why did Blizzard split the vanilla player base into like 50 realms? Killed my desire to play. Honestly sad, lots of PvP fans put aside their preferences and planned to play on Epoch's PvE server out of respect for the quality of the dev team and the work. They now get a chance to have the dream gaming experience. They're going to go jack off in the corner because they're so excited about their fucking PvP server. They've always wanted, and the first thing lots of people want is to get them shut down. I lose so many brain cells reading some of these. Yeah, 100%. I just want to play Epoch. Well, they've even like stopped reactions. Like you can't even react to things in the chat. Not only is the slow mode like you said, like 6 minutes or whatever it is, you can't even react. Super interesting though. He does seem to be passionate about it, but the one thing that surprised me about Ktotes is that he said he'd be happy if the server, and he didn't think the server would have that many people, and he said it would be happy if it just had only like 50 people or 100 people on it. My only concern is that maybe he doesn't want to have a server that's this populated. Maybe he doesn't want to have to put this much work into it. Who knows? But I mean, they've been working on Epoch for a long time. I mean, I've been a member of this server for a long time. I've played. I don't know if I have it on my YouTube. I don't know if I streamed it though, but I played one of the earlier betas of Epoch. Let's see what's the oldest video I have. It was a video from a year ago on Project Epoch. Oh, here's a video I did 2 years ago on Project Epoch. Look at this. So apparently you could create a paladin, undead paladin 2 years ago even. I forgot that wow, I actually streamed it for 2 years. I did not remember that I'd played Project Epoch 2 years ago, but I did. What's up, Vols? How's it going, man? When I'm level 30, I think this is where they let you start your character, I believe, at a higher level, I think. Oh, and look, Zulson. I was playing with Zulson too. Wow, check it out. Still launching my VPN, it looks like. Yeah, this is. I think nothing divides a player base more than PvE versus PvP. The fact that they put this server up does create a lot of drama. But to me, like, I think honestly, what I would have done, what I might have been tempted to do if I was K-Toads, if I was the Project Epoch team, is I might have been tempted to not make them different. I might, I think the fact that they made them different is causing a lot of drama. And of course, it's making the PvP Andes happy because they wanted a server that was just straight PvP. And I do think there's probably the fact that they did no cross faction. I think that like what you said, Eric, is that probably initially cross faction sounded really good because he probably thought there wasn't going to be that many people on the server. So he's like, oh yeah, cross faction would be a great idea. Just the problem with a lot of private servers is they don't last very long. They might have 2,000 to 5,000 people on them when they launch, and then they die pretty quickly. So he figured, well, just to make it, easier for people to get groups and stuff, we'll just make it cross faction. That way, when the server inevitably dies or loses its popular player base, there'll still be more players for people to play with. So that's probably the thought process. But now that there's 35,000 accounts or whatever people trying to play, and the fact that there's a lot of people like me who really aren't a big fan of cross faction, they said this gave them the opportunity to create another server that was no cross faction, which I think a lot of people probably want, right? There's a lot of people that want, no cross faction, because that's just, World of Warcraft is people say this all the time, but it's World of Warcraft. It's always been alliance versus horde. That's kind of one of the core themes and identities of what the game's all about. And so when you say it's just cross faction, it feels like it takes a little bit away from the game. But having said all of that, if I was sitting there in K-Toad's shoes and I was looking at all these accounts and trying to figure out, what can I do here? I would have been tempted to do this drop. I would have been tempted to, although he probably didn't do it because it probably would have caused a lot of uproar. I would have been tempted to just get rid of this server and bring up 2 new servers where both of them were no cross faction, but not PvP. They were both PvE with war mode. I don't know, but that probably would have pissed people off even more. But having the servers be so drastically different, because they're very different servers. One's cross faction, one's not. One's PvE, one's not. And you're gonna have a completely different experience on, those servers. They are not going to be similar. And hey, Vols, I have no idea which server to play on. I am really torn. Someone in the Discord made a really interesting comment, which I kind of agree with, and they said that the PvP servers are going to be probably way more crowded, so it's going to be harder to get in. The PvP server is definitely going to be more crowded. There'll be more people going towards the PvP server. The decision would have been easy if it was cross faction for both. The decision would have been easy. I would have gone Kazan, no doubt about it. But because it's no cross faction on Garibashi, I like the fact I like no cross faction. You know, I just think cross faction feels weird. I wouldn't feel right going up to someone who's horde and opening up a trade window with them. I'd feel it would just feel odd. I mean, I'm sure I'd get over that feeling in time, but cross faction talking. I don't. I think whispering. I think whispering to the other faction is good because it brings up a lot of trash talking, which I just think brings up a lot of funny moments. You know. Yeah, exactly. When you kill them, then they'll whisper you back saying, "I'm gonna kick your ass," or "You got lucky," or "Don't make me get my main." you know. You can hear the cries, the lamentations of the enemies. Their tears are your joy. I gotta go check on the AC. I don't know if my wife turned it up higher, but it is freaking blisteringly hot in this room. I'll be right back. I'm gonna make the world feel bigger, not having alliance in our starting zones, plus feel more dangerous when you see other factions. Give us opportunity to make a name for yourself on PvP server. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I think so. Oh man, it's just this happens every time I get to a new server where there's a decision to go PvP or PvE. I always struggle trying to figure out which way to go. I almost always go PvP, then I get sick of getting ganked because I'm just trying to get to 60. So then I go PvE, then I miss the PvP, then I leave the PvE server and go back to the PvP server. And by that time, both servers are dead, and I end up quitting WoW. It's like you know what I mean? It just feels like that's the game loop. I don't think that's going to happen with this server though, because I don't think this server is going to die. You know what I mean? So. All right, let's go back to the trolls channel. We're still with higher pop. I mean, it's typically PvP does. PvE typically appeals to more players. That's actually not true. This is true maybe on like an official server, but on a private server, PvP servers almost always have more players than PvE. Usually. Well, actually, that's not true. I take that back because most private servers just have one server, so we don't really know, right? But I can't tell you when you used to go to Ironforge Pro and you'd look at Classic WoW. Like if you took Classic WoW as an example, and Classic WoW came out in 2019, the PvP realms were more populated than the PvE realms. That was a fact, and it was that way for quite a while actually. So I don't really, yeah. See, I disagree. PvP on Kazan will be slightly rarer, less toxic, but plenty strong considering the server will be full to the gills. See, War Mode Kazan. Kazan is a lover's destination. PvP server will get a lot of GM management, level 60 people ganking levels and so on. I hope we get some PvP players on PvP server. I will play with War Mode on. I think one thing appealing about the PvE server is that you could go War Mode and feel like you're not going to have as many toxic PvPers on there. Because most of the toxic PvP players are going to go towards an environment where they can be toxic on, which means they're going to be PvP people flagged for PvP all the time, which means they're going to go to the PvP server. So if you want to stay away from some of the toxicity of PvP, then you definitely should go Kazan. And So I don't know. Is Volster, are you still there? I'm leaning towards Kazan, but I'm just so disappointed. I'm I'm leaning towards Kazan, but I don't know. This is like such a, it's kind of true in a way, but but it's not. PvP servers always have better players on them and last longer. I would say that a PvP server is going to have better PvP players on them just because it's a PvP server. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I'll say about that. The only issue is that now it matters if I pick Horde or Alliance, as Horde always owns the world. Kind of. Not necessarily true. I woke up to second server news and FN told you troglodytes. Best news ever. Yeah, see, they got rid of the reactions, so there's no like reactions on any of this shit. I spit on the Horde PvP hype. Horde PvP hype, PvP hype. If one of the realms dies, they can always merge them, relax. I don't know. I don't know if PvP servers are anything to go by how it went down on Turtle WoW. It was a fail. I wasn't really... Was Turtle WoW a fail? They did create a PvP server, yeah. I think that was a mistake, though. Like, Turtle WoW had so many players, and they said always that they were just going to have one server, and they did that for like 4 or 5 years, and they finally relented and created an additional server. Was it Telebeam? I saw someone mention Telebeam in here. And I think that, I think it was just a mistake. I never felt like they needed it. Like, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like they had 35,000 people trying to play on one server. They had like maybe 10 to 12 or 13,000 people trying to play on one server. And so, oh yeah, it's a little crowded sometimes, or maybe there's a queue sometimes. But, taking, like, here's my opinion, and I've played a lot of private servers, right? I didn't play on the original Nostauris. I didn't play on Nostauris. Nostauris is the first time I actually heard about private servers even being successful or being viable in a way. So Nostauris is when it got shut down. Kind of the outroar from that being shut down is what really brought my attention to the private server world. So then when Elysium came out, which was kind of like a spin-off from Nostauris, or some of the devs, or at least the code anyway from that got pushed off to somebody else. But I played Elysium, I played Lights Hope, I played all those iterations of those servers, and then I played on even before on Lights Hope and Elysium, I played on Chronos, right? I played on Chronos 1, I played on Chronos 3, and then I played 10, 20, 30 different other private servers. So I've played on a lot of private servers, and the one thing I can say is that yeah, the player base doesn't usually stick around for real long on a lot of these servers, but these servers are just straight replicas. They're just replicas of what WoW was. There wasn't really new content outside of Turtle WoW, which is why Turtle WoW is still doing so well, because it has custom content, right? So this is a different story. We can't measure how Epoch's gonna go based on how like Lights Hope went, or even based on how Turtle WoW went, to be honest. Because Turtle WoW was on the 1.12 client, which is really a big dividing line between a lot of people, me being one of them. The reason I stopped playing on Turtle WoW was because I just got sick of the 1.12 client. I got so used to the 1.14 client from Classic WoW that going back to the 1.12 just felt like someone was kicking me in the nuts every time I played, It just didn't. And plus their servers were always a little laggy. So... But so you think making 2 servers? I kind of agree with you a little bit there. It's really hard. I think like, I mean, they must have been agonizing over this decision. They must have been sitting back there really agonizing when they're sitting there and seeing, oh my God, 35,000 accounts have been created, and people reserved. I don't know how many names were created, but if it was 17,000 accounts with 2 reserved names each, making it 34,000, I don't know. But in the announcements, I think they said, I don't know if they mentioned it, if he mentioned it in here. But he says it's grown larger than we ever could have anticipated with the data we have from the previous stress test. Account registration of total characters created, despite limiting to 2 per account, we have decided to create additional homes. He's not mentioning the exact numbers, but someone has said it was around 30, up to close to 35,000. One of the problems with new MMO releases and New World, and a lot of the MMOs have this. In fact, most MMOs have this issue. And what happens is they release a ton of servers to, to handle all the players so that everybody can get in and play the game. But then, of course, it's pretty standard about 60% of the MMO population on new MMOs, usually within the first 1 to 3 months, is gone, right? So you launch a new game, a new MMO, maybe it's got like 20,000 players. Usually within 1 to 3 months, like 12,000 of those players are gone. And so New World opened up like a ridiculous amount of servers. Like there were way too many servers for New World. Like I don't know who was in charge of like the amount of servers that were released for the launch of New World, but they fucked up. They did, The best, and I hate to give Blizzard credit for this, right? But what Blizzard did was probably the best way to handle it really was with the sharding. I mean, I hate to admit it, but so what you do is you basically, maybe you release 5 servers, but each server can spin up different shards on the same server. So what happens, like layers, like if you guys play Classic WoW, there's layers, right? But the good thing about layers is you're still kind of on the same server. You might not be in the same layer, but you're still playing on the same server. You still have access to the same people. You still have access to the same auction house. If you want to group with people, if they're on another layer, you can still group with them. So that system is one of the, I don't want to say it's perfect, but it's one of the better systems because then as players leave, you just start reducing down the number of layers. And it doesn't really feel like the population's disappearing because you're still physically seeing the same amount of people in front of you. Right? You still walk around Stormwind seeing the same amount of people until it gets down to one layer and then that layer dies. But he posted 8,000 max per server. Still going to have thousands of people trying to get in. Yeah, for sure. There's going to be so many people trying to get in. The one thing that I did hear on Muzzy's thing was he said that they are going to try to, he's pretty sure that they are going to be implementing faction balance, which is a really good thing. I've always been a big fan of that, and I've never understood why servers don't do that. Yeah, no, I don't think it's perfect. I think the layer system just needs some more classic layer than it's. Yeah, hey, Holy, I don't think the layer system is by any means the best way to do it, and I don't like layers. I actually hate layers. The only positive thing I could ever say about the layer system, because it brings up so much layer abusing as far as, questing and gathering. The one thing about the layer system that really sucks, in a way, is it makes it a lot easier to gather materials, like from mining, and some people may think that's a good thing, but I kind of think it's a bad thing. I think it's more fun when materials are harder to get and more rare. That drives up the price, and it makes those. And good morning, by the way, Holy. And it makes, is it a good morning? We'll find out. And that makes professions feel more valuable. Like being like a miner who's able to get out there and get really high level ores and stuff like that. It makes you feel like you've got a worthwhile profession. Whereas when you have a server that's got a bunch of layers and anybody can just like grab all the ores in one spot, swap a layer, grab them all, rinse and repeat over and over again. It almost feels like it devalues your profession to a certain degree. Yeah, faction balance. What I was saying is, I've always been a fan of faction balance. I've never understood why Blizzard or some MMOs don't have the system in place. Where basically what happens is you just keep it within 45% low, right? So if one faction drops to 45%, then it gets locked out. Meaning, like if the alliance is only 45% of the server, then when a person logs in the server and wants to create a character, they can't create a horde, right? If there's 55% of the player base is horde, and you go to create a character, it's going to say you can't. Too many horde, and then you have to either play an alliance player or wait. And honestly, if you wait, usually somebody will delete a character or whatever, and it'll open back up. It's usually not long of a wait, to be honest. But the faction balance is a good thing. So. But I think what's so divisive about this, or what's so creating a divide between the player base on Epoch, and it's such a slippery slope, right? Someone's saying it's too many horde. it's such a slippery slope. You know, like you can never make everybody happy, but the fact that these are so different, I think will cause a pretty big divide in the player base. You know, and not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, you've got one that's PvE and cross faction, and one that's PvP and not cross faction. So, completely different experience. So, yeah, I hate the layer abusing wholly. I'm not a big fan of layers. I was just saying that the only benefit of layering is on a fresh launch. Like the biggest benefit of layers is when a server is brand new and there's like a ton of people trying to play it. That's where the layering system actually does work, because it allows people to get in and play the game. Hmm. Yeah, there's other games like the way you fix the layer abusing is really simple, and it's just basically there's a timer. Like you can only, like, I think Black Desert does it. A lot of MMOs do it, where basically if you try to switch layers or channels, like in other MMOs, other MMOs created layering way before Blizzard ever did, and like even like Ion had channels. Like, you guys have ever played Ion? I loved Ion, by the way, but it had like channels, but you could only switch so often. Like if I switched to a channel, and then I tried to switch out to a different channel, I couldn't go back to that channel right away, I don't believe. But there were definitely MMOs that have like a timer saying, well, you can only switch channels or layers, like, you might have like a 60-second cooldown or something. You couldn't do it immediately. So it really reduced layer abusing. But the layers were there to... The thing where layers can be really useful is if you are in an area that's overpopulated, it's nice to be able to just say, oh, let me try a different layer and that's not so populated. If I'm trying to do some quest or something. It can be pretty handy, but the abusing is what makes it bad. Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise. I never thought they would have done this. I did not anticipate them bringing up another server, and I'm really on the fence. I think I'm kind of on the fence on whether this is a good thing, and I kind of almost agree with Valis, where he says you're really killing. In a way, you kind of kill the hype a little bit, because you divide the player base so much, because you have all these players that want to play this game, and now you're saying, well, now we're going to force you to really pick PvP or PvE. And the thing that's bad about that is you have all of them on the same server, you get a good mix of all different types of players. Some players are going to want a PvP, some players are going to want a PvE, which is nice if you're someone like me who likes to do both. I like to sometimes PvP, and I love PvP, but I like PvE too, so I don't know. But I think they're just saying that they're trying to do it out of necessity, because it's just, yeah, what are you going to do? They didn't want like 20,000 people sitting in a queue all day Saturday, So, I mean, they're doing this because they're trying to make it better for people to be able to play the game. There won't be a dying server. The devs clearly saw number sign up to fully populate both. We've trusted their vision before. Why stop now? And seeing all the PvPers celebrating is rather wholesome, eh? Hmm. I'm just wondering when that other server is going to be up. Did they even say when the other server was going to be up? Oh, it should definitely be PvP. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think if you're going to create a second server, yeah, I mean, well, here's what I would have done, but what I would have done would have pissed off everybody. What I would have done is I would have created the second server just identical to the first server, but I would have got rid of the cross faction. I would have said we've got two servers. They're both. I don't know. I would have said they're both not cross faction, because I'm just not a fan of cross faction. I would have gotten rid of the cross faction. I don't have a problem with cross faction as far as talk. I think cross faction whispers and cross faction like talking is okay. I just don't like cross faction like grouping and trading. I don't know, just maybe I'm just too old school. I don't know, but it's. I wonder the other thing that's gonna be interesting is will they post the numbers? Will they have like a Turtle Wow thing where you can see like the actual, number of people that are actually on these servers? I think it's in their best interest probably not to do that because unfortunately in the MMO community or scene, people tend to try to gravitate. As soon as they see one server drop, they'll be like, "Oh my god, it's dying," and then they flock to the other one. I mean, it was so bad in World of Warcraft. You'd have like two servers in Classic WoW in the Eastern time zone in the United States, right? You'd have like two servers, maybe three or something. And if you went to Ironforge Pro and you said, "Oh, one server's lost like 20% of its player base in the last like month," people panic. They literally just panic and they just flock to the other servers. And then that one server just instantly dies. You know what I mean? Just instantly dies. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's a great idea. I like the combined ADH. I think the cross faction stuff I don't like. I don't like trade. I don't like being able to trade with Horde players directly. I think that's wrong. I don't like being able to see people talk. Like if I'm in general chat, I don't want to be able to see. I don't think I should be able to. I think the only cross faction talking that should be available is whispers. I don't want to see like. I don't want to be able to group with Horde. I don't want to be able to do dungeons with Horde. I don't want to be able to see Horde talking in general chat and be able to understand them. But I do think it's cool to be able to whisper players. That way you have that beautiful ability to kick their butt in PvP and have them, you get to hear their tears as they start messaging you saying, "You got lucky. Oh my god, did you pot there? Did you just fucking pot? I'm going to kick your ass. Don't make me get my main, bro." But yeah, this is Saturday. So this is going to be It's gonna be interesting, man. I'm trying to think when I need to start working again. I got to try to get maybe an hour's sleep before I start work again. I'm gonna start working probably around like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and work straight to my normal starting time of like 9 a.m. Anyways, here's that Tel Aviv comment. Tel Aviv refugees who don't want to get hurt again. They don't understand the PvP scene more broadly. We have arenas and TV spells here. Yeah, that's true. It's such a tough decision, though. It's like, what the hell, man? You know? Here, let's delete this. End poll. I don't think I've ever done a poll on here. Ah, good old YouTube. Here we go. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. Fuck me. All right. One PvP server with war mode was the perfect concept. Literally the perfect concept. I mean, I kind of almost agree with this. I thought the one PvE server with war mode was a good concept because you're gonna have so many people that are PvP players that are just gonna run around with war mode. So there would have been tons of PvP on the PvE realm. I guarantee it. There definitely would have been tons of PvP. So I don't know. Babies will flock to Gazan. PvP realm will be dead, and all tryhards will murder the fun out of all the casuals and scare them off. For the PvP server, the racial stealing to me gives me flair now. Happens every time. I will say that what happens a lot of time on PvP servers is that a lot of people like the idea of PvP and they flock to the PvP server, so the server population spikes. And I'm actually, and I will admit to being one of these people. And then you start leveling and you start getting killed over and over again or griefed. Like you get to like a zone, and you get like a character or a group of horde or alliance that are 10 levels higher than you that kill you over and over again. And then you start to get frustrated. And you're like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to go jump on the PvE server so I can actually get to 60 because I'm sick of getting killed. You know, a lot of it comes down to if you're a really serious PvPer, you're going to join a PvP guild. And so if you get into that situation where you're getting griefed, you know, your PvP butt buddies are going to come help you, right? You're going to be like in guild, you're going to be like, oh, somebody killed me, come and help me. You know what I mean? So, like me, the problem is the reason it's difficult for me is because I don't join guilds that much. I play the game pretty solo because I just don't get along with people, to be honest, that well. You know me, Vols. I can be kind of a bastard. So a lot of times I just like to play solo and kind of do my own thing. So it can be kind of tough if you play that way on a PvP server because I don't really have anybody to say like, oh, I'm getting my ass kicked, you know, by 2 rogues or something. I just have to, you just have to bend over and take it. In a, you know, like one-on-one, same level is great, you know. I can kill people and it's great if it's a fair fight, but a lot of times, you know, one thing that I ran into, and this was very common on private PvP servers, was like Lights Hope, for example, is like I played both factions. I played Alliance and I played Horde. And if I was an Alliance, hey, what's up, Howard? If I was an Alliance and I ran into any heavily populated Horde zone, and I was like, let's say I was level 20, and I ran past Horde players that were 60, nine times out of 10 they would kill me. They would just kill me. Even though they were like 40 levels higher than me, they would just boom kill me. But I played Horde, right? I played Horde, and I would be level 20, and I'd run past level 60 Alliance, and 9 times out of 10, maybe not that much, I'd say about 8 times out of 10, they wouldn't kill me, right? And I saw this repeatedly, again and again on Lights Hope servers, Elysium servers, any vanilla private server. And it was just really interesting that how much more the Horde will kill you, no matter, even if you're 40 levels but lower. And I saw that time and time again. It was a very common theme. Just shows you like the mentality of the people that play Horde is different than the mentality of the people that play Alliance when it comes to PvP. Keep the character names between the 2 servers unique and transfers open all the time with one day. Oh, you're saying that, are they going to do transfers? That'll be weird. Are they going to do server transfers? I wonder if they're going to do that. You know? But I still think that one PvE server war mode was a good concept. I would have liked to have seen them just leave it one server with war mode because, again, I feel like there's so many people that love PvP that the one PvE server with war mode, I feel like you would have had a lot of people flag. I would have been one of them. I was fully intending on flagging war mode for most of my leveling on Kazan. That was my plan. So I don't know. Who is this? Just a regular person. So he's saying 8K max is what they're going to put the server maxes at. Anticipated players at launch is 30,000. A lot of people reading the announcement post and saying their gut reaction. Good old Magic. He still hasn't taken me. He still hasn't stopped blocking my messages. I think he still has me blocked from like years ago when I got. I don't know what I did. I had some sort of a falling out with Magic. I think I was drunk came home drunk from the bar, and he said something, or I said something to piss him off. I don't really remember what it was. It was a long time ago. Poor Magic. That bastard needs to unblock me because I want to talk to him about development for Epoch. Straw poll, server poll. Was this really a server poll? Let's say if we go Kazan, let's just see what the numbers. I'm curious what this is. What numbers are going to be. Your vote has been counted. What are the results? Come on. Okay, here's what. So we got 425 votes for Kazan. Look at that. Look at that, though. In this straw poll, look at that. 57% still going for Kazan. That surprises me. If you had to ask, if I had to guess, I would have said it would have been about 55% Girubashi. You know, that actually surprises me. There's also, I don't know, man. That is interesting. Why does everyone need to announce that they don't want to PvP? Insecurity. That doesn't surprise you? PvP enjoyers rise up. Well, here's the funny thing: is most PvE players like PvP. Here's the difference. Here's the difference, and I think this is the thing that separates a lot of the real PvPers from the non-PvPers. Is that there's plenty of people that love PvP. They just don't really want to PvP when they're leveling their very first character to 60 on a fresh server because they want to get to they want to get to 60 because they want to establish themselves. They want to get their professions up. They want to start making some money, get their mount. You know what I mean? They want to get going. They want to kind of establish themselves on the server, and to do that, you want to get your first character to 60. You want to do some dungeons, do some raids, and those players who are more focused on maybe getting to 60, they don't want to get killed a lot on the way there because it slows down their leveling. It's not that they don't like PvP. They might get to 60 and be doing battlegrounds left and right and being like doing tons of PvP and loving every minute of it. But they just don't like the fact that PvP can slow down the leveling process. You know what I mean? PvPers like destroying people. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny part. I agree with that too, Valst. I mean, I can't tell you how many times... I can't tell you how many times, like, in PvP, they're going to release 2... So yeah, they are. They just announced it a few hours ago. I can't tell you how many times that like... In general, on PvP servers, when is it a fair fight? It's so very rarely a fair fight, right? And you're saying this is an evil troll ganker? I mean, I can't. I mean, there's so many times when I'm on a PvP server and I play Alliance mostly, and I'll walk right past a horde who's the same level as me, and they won't attack me. They won't attack me. Same level as me. But I guarantee you, if they're 4 levels over me, they attack me every single time. I'm like, man, you must be a really shitty player if you're worried that you can't attack me when we're the same level. I remember when I was on a classic server. I was on one of the classic servers, and I was on my paladin, my level 40 paladin, and there was a level 40 orc warrior, and he was looking at me, and I was killing like 2 or 3 mobs at once. And he was looking at me, and he finally he decided he didn't want anything to do with me. I'm like, dude, you're the same level as me. You're a fucking warrior. I'm a protection paladin. And he wouldn't even come at me, man. Yeah, 2 servers, I know. It's kind of... Well, here's the thing, Looney. Apparently they got like around 30 or 35,000 accounts made on the server already, and they just know that there's no way that 35,000 people can play. Yeah. Well, here's the difference though, Lenny. Here's the difference. This is not Elysium. This is not vanilla WoW. This is a Classic Plus experience. This is like new content. You know? You know what I mean? It's different. People aren't going to run away from this as fast as they would from like just a straight plain vanilla WoW or Wrath of the Lich King WoW, because that's stuff people have already done. Yeah, they're creating a new server. Here, I'll show you. If you look at the announcements, here, I'll read it to you. Project Epoch has grown larger than we could have anticipated with the data we have from previous stress tests. Account registration total characters created despite limiting to 2 per account. We've decided to create an additional realm. As a few moments ago, this was from 9:31, so this was like, what, 9, 10, 11, 12? This is like 3.5 hours ago or something. As of a few moments, I gotta work pretty soon. As a few moments ago, we have ordered yet another larger server. This doubles our, okay, I don't care about your server, to be honest. I mean, they've ordered another server. The following realms will be playable on launch. Kazan, the one thing that really surprises me is that once cross-faction and one isn't. So it's obvious that they heard the grumblings of a lot of people who don't like cross faction, and I happen to be one of those actually, and decided to say, well, we have too many people. We can't possibly have 35,000 people trying to get into one server. So we'll spin up another server. We'll make it PvP because we have a ton of people that are crying that we don't have that's not a PvP, because Kazan wasn't a PvP server. It was a PvE server with the option to turn war mode on, kind of like how retail WoW is. So there were a lot of people that were whining, like, you know how the PvP players, they're babies, as we all know. And I love to PvP and I PvP. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of arena matches in WoW, so I've done a shit ton of PvP. But still, PvP is a bunch of whiny little bitches. And so they're crying there's no straight PvP. So they tried to kill, two birds with one stone by creating a PvP server to satisfy those PvP players and creating a no faction server to satisfy those people that don't want the cross faction. Oh, so Looney, so they're giving you exactly what you want. So you wanted a PvP server with no cross faction, and they didn't have that. It's the reason you'd want to play as cross faction. Well, so they did it. So they gave you exactly what you wanted. All right. And they gave you exactly what you wanted. The London data center? No. There's nothing they can do to bring down the server ripoff. As long as it's in Europe, there's nothing Blizzard can do. Blizzard has never been able to bring down a server in Europe. The only server that ever shut down that was in Europe, I think, was in Souris, and they did that voluntarily. Because they wanted to go suck Blizzard's cock, to be honest. They were trying to get jobs at Blizzard is what I think they were trying to do. Why else would they want to fly out to Irvine, California and meet with them if they weren't trying to get it good with Blizzard? And they didn't get. Yeah, I think they were totally trying to get a job working at Blizzard, and they didn't. Not a single one of them got a job. Blizzard totally bait and switched them. Blizzard pulled a fast one on the Nostalrius team. They whined and dined him out there just to get him to shut down their server, and it worked. Yeah, they got a tour. I got a sorry about your hand. They got a tour. They told him to fuck off. Yep. Here's your fucking gold watch. See you later. There won't be a dying server. The devs clearly saw numbers high enough to fully populate both. It's funny, the amount of toxicity that we're seeing. I don't want to say toxicity, but we're seeing a lot of stuff. The violence has escalated. 10 minutes slow mode? Are you joking? Are you joking mode? What is it? 10 minutes. So you can only post once on here every 10 minutes. I mean, that is a serious slow mode. Yeah, they are. I would say, yeah, you are 100%. It's not just WoW players though. It's actually, it does. I agree with you, Maxim. I think it's the MMO player base in general is just a bunch of crybabies. You can't keep them happy. The problem is there's so many people, you can't keep them all happy. You have 35,000 different people trying to play a game. Not everybody wants to play it the same way. Oh, to reserve your character name, Luna, you just have to launch into the game, right? You have to go ahead and set up the client. It'll let you go in, right? But you can't. They haven't put the new server up yet, right? They haven't put the new server up yet, so you can go into Kazan and create two characters, right? I've got my paladin and my hunter, but if I go to change realm, there's no other server yet. Yeah, just go. They got the client hosted on their website, which is really nice. They've got a good. Go just grab their client off their website. They really need to fix this. This fucking going into the hamburger mobile mode the size of the page is not small enough to warrant that. Um, just go how to play. Go ahead and just download the direct here, and then just go ahead and install the Epoch updater, run that against that, and then you can go in and sign up. That'll create your account. That should be, you can create your account, and that'll get you logged in, so you'll be good. Oh, you have to do Mac OS? Yeah, I can't help you on that one. I was working till 5 a.m. this morning, Looney, or yesterday morning, I guess now, and I have to get some sleep. But we're on crunch time on my project, dude, and I got another like 4 hours to go on this thing. This ticket I'm working on, but I don't start work until 9, so I got 8 hours from now. So at some point, I'm gonna try to get like 2 hours sleep and then work like 4 or 5 hours before I actually have to go to work. So yeah, Friday is this Friday. This Friday is cut off. Our 2-year complete rewrite of our web application into Blazor server. We rewrote it into Blazor server technology with Entity Framework and web services and all kinds of shit. Yeah, it's like the code cutoff is this Friday. So code cutoff is Friday. So it was interesting. I kind of was looking forward to Project Epoch launch because it's literally the day after my 2-year coding project ends development. So I'm gonna be freaking so tired and still gotta fuck you. I got about 2 hours sleep last night, I think. I had this just shows you like how much work I had to do today, that my wife went to the groceries. You know how my wife has a lot of is like got a lot of sick, she's got a lot of medical problems. She doesn't ever go anywhere without me. Like if she goes to the store or shopping, I always go with her. Well, today she went to the grocery store without me because she knew I had to work. And so she went to the store and picked up some groceries. And that's the first time she's gone to the grocery store by herself in a long time. That just shows you how busy I was with work, I told her she didn't have to go to the store. I said I can just order a delivery and have it delivered, but she didn't want to pay the delivery fee. I was like, all right. But yeah, I don't know when the server is going to come up, You got Ambient, yeah. Thank God for dark mode, man. Like it was funny. I was like trying to code. I was using one. I was the website that I'm working on. We have different themes and stuff. So I was like on the light theme for a couple days, and man, my eyes. I started getting headaches, and I just immediately switched to dark mode. And I was like, thank God. You soon gonna pass out, dude. I can't. I don't even know. I am so like, I'm. I don't know. You know me. The thing is, Here's the thing. I like theory crafting. I like trying to make builds that are basically shitty builds work. So I like to do like Melee Hunter. I like to do Protection Paladin in scenarios where people say it won't work, which I don't. The one thing that I was thinking about doing was Holy Paladin, which I never play Holy Paladin. But from what I can tell, Holy Paladin actually might be pretty decent in PvP because of the fact of the scaling with Holy Power, with Holy, with Holy Power. So with Holy damage. So Holy could be possibly fairly viable in PvP. So I don't know. I might try doing something really different. But I like to theorycraft. I like to try different things that I've never tried before. That's what makes WoW fun for me, is doing every time I play, I try to do something different than I did previously. I don't ever want to just do the same thing over and over again because I find that really boring. And the problem is if I try to the Great Destruction. That's not true. There ain't fucking nobody that's gonna terrify me in PvP. Yeah, I'm not afraid of anybody. So I've played with Rekful. I've played with Venderuki. I've done arena matches against some of the best players in WoW. Got my ass kicked, but I certainly wasn't afraid to play any of them. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. The thing that annoys me though is I don't like getting killed over and over again by people that are 20, 30 levels higher than me because it slows down my leveling. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that happens a lot too. Voss is 100% right. You'll see like some of the best players, like the streamers that'll play, like they won't even be like the best PvPers, but they'll be untouchable because they'll have like 10 players or 20 players around them all the time. Good luck trying to kill someone like, like if you try to kill Asmongold, for example, because Asmongold's not very good at PvP, but if he was on the server, you'd never be able to touch him. You'd be surrounded by like 100 people, you know? I don't know. I haven't decided. I thought I was in agreement with the player. Someone in the Discord had said that they felt that the PVE with war mode was probably the perfect scenario, and I almost kind of agreed with him. I thought having just one server where it was a PVE server but with war mode would have been great. The mini Hulk would have been great because we know that there would have been a shit ton of people that would have ran around. I would have been one of them. I was planning on leveling with war mode on, right? I thought war mode was going to be really cool. Like you'd have all these people, you'd have a lot of people that didn't have war mode, but I guarantee you, if they just had one server, I'd say probably a good 30% of the player base probably would be flagged with war mode. You know, it's just unfortunate that I don't want to say it's unfortunate there's so many people, but it's unfortunate that they had to divide the player base. You know, that's what's unfortunate. I don't think anybody wants to see the player base divided. It makes consider launching a second version of the same server rather than splitting them by rule set. I thought about this too. You're not. I don't think you're supposed to ping people directly. Yeah, he could get. I don't think you're supposed to ping people directly. But yeah, I thought about that too. Why not just make them the same? But I don't know. But again, I feel like, K-Toad's probably heard the cry of the PvPers who wanted a full PvP server and the cry of the people who didn't like cross-faction and said, well, I'm just going to make all these people happy by putting up a server that's PvP and no cross-faction. And that way they're not going to cry anymore, So, but it's like, oh, is that what? Oh, hey, Ripoff, I missed your post. You said from reading the Discord, most of the toxicity seems to be coming from PvPers wanting PvE players to be forced into PvE and actually upset. Well, that's kind of stupid. So it sounds like they just want like the sheep. They want the sheep. They want to be able to kill a bunch of people that are not good at PvP. That sounds like what that sounds like, Ripoff, is that they enjoy being toxic. They enjoy being griefers. Because why would you want a bunch of PvE players on your PvP server if you weren't trying to grief them? There's no other reason to say that than that you just want to grief them, which to me is kind of a stupid. Just kind of stupid. Like I said, I've never understood the concept. I've never understood like wanting to kill a player that's 10 or 20 levels beneath me. What's the joy in that? There's no challenge. If there's no challenge, to me, it's not fun. I don't want to kill somebody who's 10 levels. That's why I don't go around killing people. Like if I run past Tor and they're 10 levels beneath me, I don't attack them. Why bother? There's no skill there. There's no skill. It doesn't need any skill to kill them. You know what I mean? If they're like 2 levels higher than me, sometimes I'll fight them just because that's challenging. Because now not only is it hard to kill them because they're 2 levels higher than me, so it's more of a challenge. I'm more likely to attack somebody who's higher level than me than somebody who's lower level than me. But yeah, that's just stupid. That just sounds like they want to grief players that they think aren't as good as they are skill wise. That just sounds stupid. See, if there's no war mode in a PvP server, don't their in-play systems? I think. Spoken like a true horde, Looney. Spoken like a true horde player, man. You said, what do you mean their in-place systems kind of vanished? Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean by their in-place systems? I mean, I think that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems weird though because if you take away because the war modes seem to be kind of like a cornerstone of part of the leveling system. You know, like it was trying to encourage people to get the bonus experience and now if you're on a PvP server, I mean, there pretty much is no war mode because everybody's PvP. I do think they said that you still get experience. So like if you're on the PvP server and you kill another player, you still get experience. No, you still get that experience in the blood tokens from killing other players in World PvP. So I don't think that changes. It's just, you know, I don't think any of the systems change. It's just that instead of having to actively turn it on so you can kill them, you can just kill them whenever you want. So yeah, I don't think it affects that system at all. So Kazan have war mode disabled since there's a dedicated PvP. Oh, that's. I mean, this was kind of a. I don't want to say dumb, but you should have. I mean, although I understand in a way why they would say this, because like if there is a PvP server and a lot of the PvP players go to the PvP server, the war mode might turn out to be just not utilized as much as maybe they would have wanted it to be utilized. There was that straw poll. Do I still have it open? Okay, well, no one's been voting lately, but I thought the straw poll was kind of interesting. That it said 57% out of like almost what you got 750 votes here, and 57% of them were saying that they would rather that they're going to play on the PvE realm. That did surprise me a little bit. Christ, let me install Windows on the box first. Oh, what are they saying? So character transfers will be a no in the future. I don't know. You are all expecting answers to something that's literally like 3 hours old. Hyper-G servers and layers. Good job. It isn't an option then. We went through these queues on Classic. It's not unreasonable. On Classic, resolved that with layers. The technology isn't available to us. And is also widely on the problem. You're comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, this is true. That's actually 100% true. What about individual character transfers? Merging is in no way as simple as you guys seem to believe it is. No matter the realm type, a merge is basically not happening. He said, "Holy fuck, what a bomb on an." So he's saying that they're not going to do server merges? Interesting. Will the second different game mode server have an effect on class development? No, why would it? I mean, it's a bad decision to add a server at the last minute, but it's probably the best decision you can make at this point. Only real debate, I think, is fair is the rule set discussion, but this is fine. Again, the choices was to add another server or expect queues exceeding around 20K. Yeah. I'm sure they agonized over this decision to bring up another server. I mean, if I was them, I would have agonized over it. What would you guys have done, though? Seems like a corpse camped a lot of these people. Probably loony. What would you guys have done, though? I mean, would you guys, if you knew there was going to be a queue of 20,000 people waiting to get into the server, would you have decided to create a new realm? Or would you just have said, well, we'll just wait? Well, they can only increase it so high. Well, the Turtle WoW, what was the cap on Turtle WoW? But think about that, though. What if there's 20,000 people trying to get in? They're saying, Vaults, that there's 20,000 people that aren't in. So they were saying, like, there would already be, like, 8,000 people in the server and then 20,000 people waiting to get in. So if the server cap was 15, you'd still have like 13,000 people that couldn't get in. But I don't know. Here's another poll. Oh, this is the same poll. You already, oh, no, yeah, it's the same one. Order Alliance, let's see this one. Look at that. Alliance, 55, but it's got no votes, though. Yeah, I don't know. I thought, personally, it would have been nice if it was just one server. The only problem I had with the one server was the fact that it was cross-faction. I wasn't a fan of that. So... Hi, Project Epoch. First off, I want to thank you for the incredible work you put into the project. It's clear how much passion. This is Pembroke. I want to ask for clarification on the recent decision to launch separate. So, what was the core reason behind creating two distinct server types instead of mimicking the main server design to maintain a unified population consistent gameplay and philosophy? It feels like this separation could dilute the community and fragment the player base in a way that would impact overall longevity. Do you have a long-term plan for PvP server? Once the initial hype phase and player count stabilizes, is there any chance you'll consolidate? Will development and balance move forward now? Will the development and balance moving forward now take two different tracks for PvE and PvP? So how do you plan to manage this? I'm asking these questions out of genuine interest and long-term concern for the project's sustainability. To answer your first question, it was clear we needed two realms. That was an easy decision. We chose to make the second realm PvP in combination because it's highly asked for, along with wanting to support a different experience for players who want it. I want to be clear on the second part. We are planning to support both realms indefinitely. There are no plans for a merge. With the data we have, we believe we will have no issues sustaining both realms. For your third question, development balance will not change much. We've always prioritized maintaining balance for both PvP and PvE. So, yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think we'll see, like, within a few weeks. Like, the question is, what is the population on the two new servers? What's it going to be after, like, 2 or 3 weeks? You know, what percentage of the amount of people logging in has changed? But, all right, guys, I do have to stop. I have to get at least like an hour or two sleep before I have to work again. I'm just checking my messages, and I gotta set my alarm clock for, I don't know, what should I get up? 3 a.m. 3 a.m. would give me 6 hours. That should be enough time to finish what I'm doing, I think. 6 hours. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So Kess is part of the development team. She's a designer and a community moderator. And she said, I almost started crying when I saw the most recent player count metrics. Rip the dream. So, how can she say rip the dream? What's the fucking dream? That you want a server that doesn't have anybody on it? Did you see this? I think there are unhappy people right now, and I don't blame folks if they feel that way. We haven't made all the right decisions all the time, but generally our team consensus decisions have been good, and this was a team consensus. PvP was a tougher decision. It's been a request for a long time. Some people are thrilled, others are angry. If we had done a second PvE server, community is still divided, albeit in a different way. PvP server makes some people really, really happy and others sad. So it was to make neutral and sad, or make people happy and sad. That's great. That's good. That's good. Oh, whoa, when was this? He said it's up. That can't be right. He said Kezan and Garabashi are up. That can't be right. That was from like a while ago. See, there's no. Why would he say Garabashi's up? It clearly is not up. This server time's wrong, isn't it? What? No, it's not. It's just there's so many messages. Holy craps. Holy crap. Thanks, Kay, for PB server. Much appreciation. There's no faction balance measure in place. Slow mode. Actually, they are, to clarify, we expect solution to be in place before it becomes a problem. So they are working on putting a faction thing in place to make sure the balance is there. Looks like I'm having some internet connections, guys. The connection here is not the best. Yeah, see that? Yeah, my internet's running dog shit right now. Normally it's much faster than that. Cross-realm BGs. I mean, I think this would be good. If they could somehow do cross-realm battlegrounds, that would be a good thing. Get more people in the queues, I think cross-realm PvP would be... Although, it takes away from kind of creating a unique identity on your own server, you know what I mean? One of the cool things about the original WoW servers was that there was no layering or shards or anything like that. If you were really good at PvP on your server, people knew that because it was just one server. You weren't like mixing shit in. Yeah, I don't understand the name Unholy the Undying Paladin. It's a good name. Yeah, they do not layer. They don't layer. That was weird though. I saw that Magic said that the one server was up at 11:42. So if that's true, then I missed out on the name reservation. Which, well, whatever, it is what it is. But if I would have called it Rexar, I wouldn't have gone with Garabashi. Just it's kind of a hard. It's hard to type. It's hard to say. I would have made it something more. I would have made it something more simple. Yeah. I swear people can't read. There are two options: one realm with like 6 to 7K cap, and the rest never gonna log in, or two realms and everyone can play in peace. The duck is the problem here. Look, the only downside is there would be less PvE sweat lords to kill. See, this is what's funny, is that the PvP players are complaining that they don't have cattle to slaughter. That's what it sounds like to me. They're just, you know, which I think is just shows the mentality of some PvP players. Rename Kazan to Rexar. Yeah, stupid. Now we're just getting the dumb people. The morons, the dregs of society. Screenshots. No screenshots? No screenshots? Right, here's my screenshot. You can't see anything on here, can you now? Good. We'll put the screenshots. Time to go back to work. Well, I think now with the server split, at least there's a chance. Like I think before you're right. I think before with just one server that it was going to be a total disaster. I mean, think about that. Think about there being like even if only like half the people showed up based on the amount of accounts that were created. Because someone was saying there were like 30,000 accounts created. So if only half of those people showed up, that would have been double what they're going to put the server cap at. Because I think they said the server cap is going to be like 8,000. So, oof, come on, Bitcoin, what are you doing to me? I will repeat, we will monitor faction balance on the PvP server and enforce balance if needed. Oh, did he just fucking pot? She potted. Epic PvP. This is top level PvP right here. This is like the pinnacle of PvP. Uh-oh. He's got a wolf on him. Here it comes. He's going to he thunder stomp the wolf. So the Ghost Pro winner was actually attacking tracks. And Alex Dushel actually thunder stomped the wolf. the thing that was helping him win. And that was the day Alex Sensual died. Not only in game, but as with anybody with any kind of credibility as a player, right? As a PvPer.
Wow. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Wow.
Wow. Wow. Project Everlook, Alex Sensual. Never forget. Holy shit. So should we do the... Well, up until that point, like, he was just a classic WoW Andy, so he was like really big on classic WoW. He did a lot of videos on classic WoW. So he just like, he was super hyped for classic WoW. He loved vanilla. And so people liked watching him because he was so excited about vanilla. You know, he liked vanilla WoW. And back then it was still fairly, we're talking back in like, you know, back in Nostalria's days. So private server vanilla was still a fairly new thing. So yeah, he had a lot of people that liked watching him. But then once he did that battle, oh, I never saw this, where he's dancing over his corpse. I guess Alex Sensual must have just like, he didn't release his corpse. He probably like, you know, pulled an Asmongold and bashed his head on the desk or something. But after he did this stupid video, it was just so painfully obvious like how bad he was at the game that he did lose a lot of credibility. Because I mean, people like to watch you stream WoW, but if you're not very good at the game, people, you know, they kind of disappear. So, do we have that video? Let's see if we've got it. I thought I had it on my channel. I do. I'm going to show this video and then I'm going to log off because I got to get some sleep before I work again. So I'll let this roll, and then after this I'm going back to bed. Only for a couple hours, and I got to get up and work. This is a hardcore LBRS wipe, and it was some of the worst gameplay I've ever seen. And this hunter, unfortunately, he is the worst hunter I've ever seen. I mean, if you watch this video, it's mind-boggling how bad he is. But it's good for like lots of laughs, though.
It's simply a trap, man.
Once you do it, though, you don't have an escape route is the problem. Like, if something goes wrong, you kill them or die.
I love the way that you either kill them or die. Sounds like every other like nerd I've heard in raid, right? Whenever you go to a raid, there's always like, you know, there's like the nerd voice. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know what I'm talking about? If you go into a raid, there's always those guys that have that voice that sounds like they've been living in a basement their whole life. And they're like, hey guys, are you ready to do the raid pull? You know, and you're just like, what the fuck? And then you've got one guy who sounds just crank. His name is Crank, and he sounds stoned out of his mind. He's like, dude, it's okay, man. Dude, we're all good. He sounds stoned. It's hilarious. Watch this.
It's simply a trap, man.
Once you do it, though, you don't have an escape route is the problem. Like, if something goes wrong,
You do it, or you
kill them or die.
kill them or die.
If anything goes wrong, I'll aggro all the mobs and like blink forward.
So that's the guy that's baked. He's like, if anything goes wrong, man, I'll just aggro everybody and blink.
Well, no, that's the problem, right? Even if you do that, we can't, like, the stairs are going to be guarded by, like, 5 other packs of guys to get back to where we are. There's no running. Like, we just die. Like, yeah.
I know what you mean, dude.
Yeah,
He's so stoned. He goes, he just starts laughing. The guy's like, there's no running, right? He's like, there's no running. We're just going to die. And he's like, all right. I knew what you mean, dude. Oh my God, this guy's baked.
like, yeah.
I know what you mean, dude.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I know what you mean, dude.
Like, yeah.
I know what you mean, dude.
Like, yeah.
I know what you mean, dude.
Yeah, like, if we go down there, it's don't get the chance to fuck up and try to.
So like how easy is this to fuck up? Are the jumps easy to make?
You just jump down. You just walk down.
Okay, so this guy asks, how easy is it to fuck up? Are the jumps easy to make? So he's not even familiar with like the area. I mean, I'd be a little like if I'm in this group right away, I'm like, I'm out of here, man. Like one guy doesn't even know where we are in the dungeon. One guy's like obviously baked. Just
Down there and then walk down there.
Yeah.
You can do it where you don't pull any mobs.
and he's 100% correct. You can do this without where you don't play mobs. If you jump to the left here, right around on the wall right here, you won't pull anybody.
You jump like to the left.
Yeah.
Kind of
Oh
where.
yeah, you can see Peach's belongings from here. It's right down there, right in the corner. You see it? You guys see it?
Yeah, no, I see large solid chests.
No, on the other side. So like if we're looking out the window, to the right, down in the corner, PG's belongings.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could honestly jump on that. I mean, fuck it. I don't know, man.
I'm down. Vote. If
I've light a blue and heart, and that's my backup plan. So
I'm down, dude.
I gotta say that. So like, if we're down to do it, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm jumping down here.
I hope it was good for you.
yeah, I dismissed.
YOLO.
Check to make
Let me make a like mana gem and shit. Like this could be high risk situation here.
Okay, hold on. Let's take a look at the pads here. So the pads are on the other side. So
We have to jump down in a place where we don't aggro stuff. That's the key.
I mean, we could just jump and kill Skull right here.
let's do it. That's a good call.
Alright.
So that skull has other stuff in it. So
Yeah.
Get that.
Alright.
Yeah, we
Going.
going down.
Pack on the right.
We have two. I'm dumbing now.
Yeah. Polly, I'm interrupting this guy. Need a weak taunt?
I coil. Can we just keep marking?
Yeah. Stun that guy. Trying to get aggro.
I whip.
I'm at mana.
Kill the low ones.
Stuff out.
Whoa.
Frank, have a crystal restore.
Let them send the Nova.
Frank, bird's about to die. We got the pat coming in.
We need to not pull the pat.
That's already
Good call.
like the other guy.
Fuck, dude.
Motherfucker. Oh wait, no, I'm still alive.
We're so fucking.
This is so funny. Look how long he takes to try to find his Hearthstone. Here's the thing that's really funny. If you're playing on a hardcore server, like how the hell do you level to 60 and not even know where your Hearthstone is? Like that just to me just blows my mind. It almost feels like somebody else leveled his character to 60, you know? But the other thing too is interesting is when the Shadow Bolts come at him here, he feigns death and breaks out. Don't do this as a hunter. If you're a hunter and you feign death, don't stand up, right? Don't stand up. I know. Well, obviously this guy is playing. He's playing on like a really bad. However he recorded this video is bad, but this is not from 2004. This is hardcore. This is a hardcore server, as you can see. This was from like 2020, probably 2020, 2021. But the fact that he can't find his Hearthstone just blows my mind. But watch here how like he everything. I could go through the video and I'm not going to do it because I've done this so many times in this video. He's like the gameplay for this hunter is like some of the worst gameplay I've ever seen. I mean, he's just so bad. But it's almost like somebody leveled his character for him, like rip off, because he doesn't know how to play his class. He doesn't know where his Hearthstone is. When he feigns death here, he stands up.
Fuck, dude.
So right now everybody's dead except for I guess the healer. Now he feigns death here, right? See how he's going to the ground? When you feign death and you're surrounded by mobs, don't stand up. Watch this. He immediately stands up. He's literally standing up right now. He stands up, but the way feign death works is you have a slight immunity for like a second or two. Even if you stand up, you're still immune. So it's like the mobs are resetting. So like when you feign death, the mobs have aggro on you, they reset until they've moved all the way back to their original position. They can't really re-aggro to you. So he really walked a really fine line right here because he feigned death. He's already standing up, but the mobs still haven't completely reset because they were in the act of casting spells. So this mob is going to finish casting spell and then reset, even though he's already standing up. See that? He stood up, took the Shadow Bolt right in his face. The mobs, this one, and the one over here are now resetting, even though he stood up. See, he's already stood back up. So really, again, stupid. Don't do that when you feign death. Don't stand up. And he got really, really lucky here. I'll show it to you again.
Motherfucker.
Watch how long it takes him to find his Hearthstone. Oh, it's not this. There? No, it's not there. Where's my hearth? Where is it? Where is it? Where's my hearth? Where is it? Where is it? Wait. Oh, there it is.
I'm so sad. Please load.
Please hearth. Please hearth. Please hearth. Please hearth. Please hearth. Now he has a freaking orgasm. He actually has an orgasm because he hearthed here.
The hearth. The hearth.
The guy, dude, just fucking had an orgasm. Then what does he do? Everybody in his group dies. This guy just rage quit, logged off. All these guys lost their level 60 characters. He lives. The first thing he does goes right into the guild chat and see, I fucking lived. I don't think I would post that in guild chat if everybody in your group just died. You know? But it's one of my favorite clips, man. I love that. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Good times, good times. All right, well, I don't see anything else. I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to go get some sleep before I have to go back to work. At some point in time, I got to take a shower. I don't know when that's going to happen. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Hope everybody has a good one. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.